Hello,
Hello,
economic
Economic Challengers!
challengers.
Wherever you are in the world, welcome to Economix Insight, one of the flagship programs brought to you by the 24th Economics. My name is Leafy,
And my name is RZ.
and together we will be your host for today's session. RZ, for those who might be tuning in for the very first time, can you give a quick introduction to what Economics Insight is all about?
Of course, Libby. So, Economics Insight is a podcast where we sit down with leading experts to unpack the most pressing issues in the global economy. We turn complex topics into conversations that are accessible to students and the general public alike. And today, we're truly honored to honor our guest, Ms. Eisha Rachbini.
Ms. Eisha Rachbini obtained her doctoral degree in international economics from Waseda University in Tokyo and a master's degree in economics from the University of Groningen in Netherlands.
Currently, she serves as the program director of the Institute for Development of Economics and Finance, or INDEF, and also is an assistant professor at the Faculty of Economics and Management at IPB University and associate lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Business at the University of Indonesia.
Her research interest focuses on international economic policy and development, including digital economic transformation. And special for this Econ site as well, we are currently shooting at the studio of INDEF. Good afternoon, Miss Asia. It is such an honor for us to have you here today. How are you today?
Hi, thank you. Good. How are you?
Great, great.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, as well. Thank you. So, let's get right into it. So, in today's episode, it's going to be a thought provoking one. We'll be digging into a topic that's right in the intersection of technology, geopolitics, and economic development. AI sovereignty in emerging economics. Is it a threat to global cooperation or is it a pathway to resilience? So, without further doubt, let's get right into it.
Miss Asia, to set the stage for our listeners, how would you define AI sovereignty in today's context, and why has it become such an urgent and increasingly important issue, specifically for emerging economies?
Yeah, like we know that nowadays AI have been widely used, right, in every our daily life, right?
It's true.
Every our activities are dependently using anything digital, right? Which is including AI based application, right? And also uh, data uh, related, kind of things that we already cannot, cannot be separated, right? And then if we look at to the what is AI sovereignty is, this is kind of capabilities that a country or economy that they have an AI capabilities or data infrastructure or policy that they are relying heavily on their own that any countries cannot have. So they have their own capabilities, right? So this kind of capabilities, it depends on whether they have those kind of they can have such a big data centers, right? They have such a big technology, high technology. They have infrastructures. They have regulation. They have they are a big economy. They are dominant in this kind of factors. So this kind of dominance in AI or in technology means that uh, they can control they can control the systems, the ecosystems in AI things, right? Means that if you know in data, for example, only limited numbers of AI company or tech company right now in the world, right? And if you look at to the data as well, the growing corporate investment on AI, it growing so fast. For example, like 2013 to 2025, lately in almost like more than 10 years, it almost like growing like more than 40 times in a global world, like from $13 million to like $5 billion. So it's really really big kind of investment in this. But however, the dominance it's only in in a particular kind of countries who has those kind of technology. However, in other side, only for like emerging market, emerging economy, like us, we use it, right? We kind of uh, we part of the game, we part of the market. We they invest they invest to our countries, they invest the platform, they and we are kind of their market, but we are customer in this kind. However, nowadays, as you mentioned, as you know that data is now a gold, right? No, what we the literal it's literally nowadays data is a goal. So data protection, data kind of ensuring this kind of data flows and so on, it really means for uh, kind of very very value things in nowadays world, very valuable things.
Yeah, this.
Nice. That's a really compelling framing. It suggests that maybe AI sovereignty is not simply just about adopting a technology, but also developing the domestic capability needed to shape a country's own digital future. And so when we talk about sovereignty in here, it's not just about isolation, but about agency and self-determination in the digital space as well.
Okay, so maybe we'll get into the next question. So building on what you've shared, the global AI landscape today is overwhelmingly dominated by a very small number of countries and corporations, like you said before. And these countries and corporations include the U.S., China, and handful of big tech companies. Maybe one notable one is OpenAI with like ChatGPT, and other tech companies like Google are getting into the industry with Gemini and such. So my question is, for a developing economy, what does that concentration actually mean on the ground? And what are the tangible risks and challenges that come with the level of dependency?
Yeah. As you mentioned that the U.S., China, South Korea, they are the main player, the dominant players in terms of the technology because they have kind of technology, they have kind of big data center, and they have infrastructure. And the most important things is that they invest so much on human skills and the talent. The talent itself is very important factors that driven factors that this kind of AI driven, right? However, in this kind of what you mentioned, how about the emerging market, right? How about uh, developing countries like us? How they can be able to be a player? Can we become the player too, right? So the first thing is that there are four pillars that we can able to be a player to. First is that whether we can have a data centers as well, how we manage our data as well. Yeah, because we are a big population. We have a big, very, very big population, right? How many? 270 million people here in Indonesia. We are a very big market. We are very the fastest growing digital economy in Indonesia, right? uh, in Indonesia very biggest in the East Asia, Southeast Asia. And then we have also the talent. So we have skillful talent in research and development, and then investment in technology as well. We have to fund the research and innovation because this tech industry are STEM industry, so we have to support or to strengthen our STEM industry, not only from the middle level, but from very beginning, from the early childhood level, and then support them to the potential talent in the future. So we became the potential player in the future.
So maybe like we need to develop AI sovereignty in Indonesia. Maybe we need to develop the talent and infrastructure first. And maybe one uh, development I've seen in UI is that we've opened a program study called AI, right? And maybe is that one example of infrastructure development in Indonesia that can maybe uh, help us to achieve AI sovereignty?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one of the efforts to go to the pathway to go to what we are going to. But this one thing also is about regulation as well. Yeah, the government also have to maintain or to give a conducive investment climate. So nowadays or right now we do not have this capability, right? But we still have invest. We still need to invest for the talent, but we need capital inflows into the countries. But then we have to make sure this investment condition in conducive for those who are coming, making capital inflow, and then they bring some technologies to be invested in here, and then there will be transfer of knowledge into the countries, and then it will make our countries become the player. So uh, this will make our AI sectors to be adopted in this economy.
Okay, that's really insightful, Miss. So it's striking that even the infrastructure layer and the computing hardware itself creates a form of dependency that before we even get into the algorithms, right? And maybe this actually connects to something we study in economics, which is called comparative advantage. So, like in this case, in AI sovereignty's case, let's say this advantage in AI is being structurally locked into only certain players, right, from the very beginning. So, yeah, that's really my question. So, how's that advantage uh, being structurally locked in?
The comparative advantage in this. However, in this kind of discussion, speaking of the resources, right? We have also have comparative advantage in terms of semiconductors. We are one of the player in semiconductors, right? So we can be uh, part of the global chain, value chains, the production in the production network in terms of production, in terms of semiconductor, in which playing part in this kind of AI uh, AI sectors. So I think that should be being promoted in this time.
Okay, so that our advantage is mainly in the semiconductor industry, right?
Semiconductor industries should be promoted, and then there are many others. From we should see from from downstreaming from upstream to downstream, in which part we are competitive. From, for example, in this kind of sectors, we have so many talents in, for example, in sectors like what is it called, animated industry and so on. Yeah, we have so many talented, skillful talent that should be supported as well. So there are so many to be explored in this case.
Okay.
That's a very interesting perspective. And like just the first point that you say that developing local talent become like just as important as investing in technology itself. Now I want to flip the conversation slightly. There's a real tension in here. On one hand, pursuing AI sovereignty sounds like exactly what emerging economies need, but on the other hand, could it lead to fragmentation, incompatible ecosystems, data walls, and regulatory divergence? How do you think countries, especially those in the global south, can pursue AI sovereignty without closing the door on international cooperation and cross border innovation?
Yeah, what I'm, in my opinion, that an excessive focus or excessive control is not that really necessary. Means that a collaboration should be needed. Means that, like you mentioned, a comparative advantage means that if we don't need that skill, if we don't need that kind of capability, we can source from others, right? Means that if nowadays we do not have capabilities, then we can get investment from outside, right? And then they bring the technology, they bring the capitals, and then they will transfer to our uh, uh, what is it? Human capital in here, and there is a transfer of technology, and then by the time we can catch up with the advanced countries, we can catch up the technology as well. In this case, collaboration is needed. Means that we in the regional scope as well. We have like ASEAN DIFA, right? Digital economy framework. So this is one kind of example that collaboration in digital economy are needed. You know that 10 ASEAN members are having different kind level of digital adoption, right? We are we have different characteristics in digital adoption. So we can collaborate one to another, so we can make catch up to another, so we can bring bring this kind of digitalization to make a benefit to our economy regionally. So I think that is needed for now.
Okay, so like you said before, so it sounds like the goal isn't really to fully gain authority on AI as a whole, as a country, but more like a strategic interdependence, right?
Yeah, it's more like a strategic in collaboration, not really controlling our means that we control our data, right? Means that we protect our data, so we cannot accept any technology or AI to be implemented in here. We just use our own AI, or we just use uh, our data in here. We don't promote data mobility with any other countries and so on, something like that. Means that collaboration are needed. I mean, the protection of our data privacy are needed nowadays, because you know that data now is a gold, right? So here in our cloud, uh, our behavior are cannot be read, right? Easily, right? That's why it's very valuable for any company or any interest stakeholders and so on, right? So that's why it's very expensive in this kind of work, right? So this kind of data, because it's very expensive, then it is needed, and then they allow when it is transferable to other countries, means that it will make our sovereignty is in the risk, right? So as a independent country as well, the country need to protect, right? However, that's why our country as well need to have a regulation on this kind of privacy. However, the stage of regulation itself need to be assessed carefully. So it needed to allow uh, to allow you know to allow our countries to be protected. However, it is not to make a fragmentation in the investment itself. I mean, the mobility itself uh, not to be at risk lah.
Okay. Okay, that's really insightful. Maybe I have a follow-up question regarding what you said about data is a gold right now, and data has many risks right now if we don't maybe get to AI sovereignty. So, like policies like data localization often get criticized by global tech companies as a barrier to trade. How would you respond to that critique? Is there a version of data governance that satisfies both national interest and openness?
Yeah, I think it should be it's a strategic. It is a strategic uh, thing, yeah, for a nation to protect the national interests, and because it is our people privacy, yeah, our strategic one. It should be national priorities, yeah. However, yeah, we cannot close ourselves to global, global things, right? To uh, global, global world, right? So means that isolation into technology is not allowed in this case. Means that we need to still open to investment, right? However, there is some kind of data which is still be protected, but we need to look more into detail what need to be protected and what should be allowed to be shared.
Okay, that's really insightful, Miss. As you said about what data needs to be protected and such. Maybe we'll move on to the next question. I want to zoom into Indonesia specifically here, Miss. So, like you said before, it's quite an interesting case. We have a massive population, a growing digital economy, and big ambitions in the tech sector. But like you said before, we have constraints in infrastructure, tech, and computing access. But we also have some advantages in like semiconductors and others. So, my main question is, how is Indonesia currently positioning itself in the global AI race? And what credible national AI sovereignty strategy does it look like for a country at our stage of development?
Yeah, Indonesian position currently in AI adoption and competition. Yeah. But before going to AI, we look at the Indonesian economy, digital economy itself, like I have mentioned to you. First is that we are the fastest growing in digital economy, right? If we take a look into deeper, what is digital economy, which is include AI adoption itself, uh, it's more advanced. AI adoption is more advanced, right? However, in Indonesia, adoption in digital itself face some kind of challenges. Yeah, we know that the access to infrastructure are, face has its challenges as well. The skill, digital skill and digital literacy as well, become the barriers into the digital adoption, right? But however, in the AI itself, still Indonesia are now strengthening the AI position. But the AI adoption itself, if we look at the market, yeah, Indonesia become the market of AI, right? We have big market, big population, right? And then it creates opportunity to become the largest AI hub in the Southeast Asia. So I think it's potentially growing now, in the future, now to the futures, but still we need to improve our data centers because for sure the infrastructure itself for data center capacity, as I mentioned earlier, we need to have more talent, and then we need to have more what is it called, investment on those technology to be adopted in Indonesia.
Okay, that's so interesting that you bring up like the development of AI in Asia because that also connects to the broader question of whether AI sovereignty in here looks different for a country like Indonesia versus the one with a much smaller economy or different resource base. And looking ahead, do you believe AI sovereignty will become a defining pillar of national economic resilience in the next decade, or will the global cooperation ultimately prove to be more practical and effective path?
I think uh,
the AI itself, the digital technology, because this is one of the pillar which one of the vision of the Indonesian government, right? So it becomes become one of the target itself. We want Indonesian digital economy growing, right? So one of them is the AI itself. So there is more to be implemented. I mean, the adoption AI itself very limited right now. So there need to be so much more to push right now. I think, for example, our industry, our manufacturers need to the adoption of AI itself is very limited, probably less than 10%, less than 3%. However, you know from the data, right? We are in currently deindustrialization. We need technology, right, to increase our productivity. So, uh, implementing or adopting AI is one of the solutions. So, I think it's one of the effort to how to increase our productivity by uh, adopting this technology. One of them is AI into our production sector to transform our economy. So that's one of the main issues, main target for Indonesia to be, to escape from the middle income countries.
Okay. Wow, that's really insightful, Miss. That you talk about what Indonesia needs to do to get out of our situation right now, and maybe that's our final question. And to conclude, what an incredibly rich conversation that was, Miss Aisha. I think we speak for everyone that when we say that this episode has given us a great deal to think about. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely, and to summarize some of what we've maybe explored today, AI sovereignty is not simply a buzzword, it is an emerging strategic imperative for countries that want to participate meaningfully in the digital economy of the future. And for emerging economies, the stakes are high. Build domestic capacity now or risk deepening a form of technological dependence that becomes increasingly difficult to reverse.
At the same time, the path forward is not one of isolation. As Ms. Asia highlighted, the most viable routes for countries like Indonesia is strategic sovereignty readiness. And to do this, we build foundations of domestic AI capability, infrastructure, talent, and regulation. And this is done while remaining an engaged and open player in international networks.
And whether AI sovereignty ultimately becomes a threat to global cooperation or a pathway to resilience will depend not just on national choices, but on whether the global community can build governance framework that makes room for many players, not just for the few who arrived first.
So, on behalf of the 24th Economics, we would like to thank you once again for this opportunity to collaborate with you on this edition of Economix Insight. Thank you so much, Ms. Asia.
And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to today's session. My name is Lipi.
And I'm RZ. And we're signing out as the 24th Economics Insight host. Hey, Spirit!